Welcome to the Beauty and You podcast, a safe place created for all women to come relax, get inspired, and be constantly reminded that they have not lost the ability to be who they once were. Join us as we dive into the true meaning of rediscovery through inspiring guests and topics such as healing, self-love, and creating a positive mindset. So sit back, relax, and get comfortable as we dive into this week's episode. Here's your host, Chi Quita Mack.
Hey, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Beauty in You podcast. I am so excited, as always, because today we are really getting into it. We are getting into what it means to be a mom, this crazy thing called balancing. I don't know if it happens or not, but we're going to Florida today, you guys. Our guest today is the owner of Bridge Every Gap, who has built her storied life and career brick by brick, fighting tears, failures, and setbacks to have the success she's always known was hers to claim. You guys, we are talking to Mama T, but let me get the formal name. Tonya Fewell, known as Mama T. Hey, Mama, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for having me, Chiquita.
I'm excited. I am so excited. When I first met you, I want to tell you, you really changed my perspective just on motherhood and how to look at everything. But before we even get there, I want you to just take me on a little stroll and I want you to talk to me about your rediscovery journey.
Absolutely. So I feel like we're constantly in a rediscovery journey. But for me, when I was younger, I had this headstrong mind that I can do it, I can achieve it, nothing can stop me. But as I got older, I noticed a lot of that was me actually being a square peg, constantly trying to fit into a round space. And so as I went on my journey, I kept trying to fit into these spaces where I could excel, I could achieve, but something just wasn't right. Something wasn't making me complete, I wasn't whole, I wasn't able to really realize all that I was, all that I could do. And finally, I just said, enough is enough. I want to be in a place where I'm celebrated. And so my rediscovery journey was learning that I don't need to fit into spaces that were not designed for me. I could take those lessons and I could take all of the goodness and all of the information and all of the lessons learned from those experiences, but I could create platforms and spaces where I could authentically show up and I could excel. And then I created that for other people as well, of just stepping into who you are in the fullness of who you are and being able to really let that go into the world for your purpose. There was a lot of pain along that journey, but I realized the pain was oftentimes the resistance of trying to be the same and trying to fit in everyone else's expectations of me. But when I stepped out into my own, there were struggle, there were challenges, but it was so much more worth it because I was doing what I was designed to do.
That part. I think it's important to understand that we don't always have to fit in everybody else's mold, but we're somehow born to think that we're supposed to fit in everybody else's mold. And that's what's so difficult about it. Same thing with me. I just felt like when we talk about our journeys and the similarities, is trying to be something that we think we should be, but we don't really know yet.
Right.
We're still trying to figure out ourselves, but we feel that we should be doing what everybody else wants us to do. The fact that you were able to realize like, hey, I'm trying this and it's not working. Something has to give. I've got to just be my authentic self. I've got to be who I was really set out to be. But let's talk about the journey within the pain. Like there's pain and journey and the light that comes through that. How would you say that the pain really led you to do what you're doing now, which is inspiring so many women, inspiring so many youth?
Okay, so and this is part of what you hinted to earlier. I'm a mom and I'm 100% a mom. But my mom journey was not what I was brought up as ideal. I had 3 children and was not married for any of them. And there were a lot of shame, a lot of pain that came because of that, because my value system saw this as not what it was supposed to be. It wasn't right. I ate all of that into the negativity, and I showed up in a space less than what I was. And I really struggled with showing up with the shame and doing what I knew I was supposed to do. And what I saw was, you mentioned the shoulds. I lived in the realm of the shoulds. I should do this, I should do that. And so, because I had gone through a journey of not doing what I should, having 3 children and not being married, I ate that into the pain became what I lived in. So I struggled in how I came across people. I struggled to try to just diminish myself to fit in, to kind of dilute who I was, water down just a little bit so that I wasn't too much of me, right? We talk about struggling with being enough. I felt like I was too much. Like, oh, Tonya, realm it back just a little bit. It was too much. But I did that so much in a way where I told myself I was being humble. I told myself I was, really respecting the space. But what I was really doing was, it was explained to me that it was more ego than being humble, because I was so much in my brain of what the expectation of me was, that my ego was holding back what I was really purposed to do. So I would show up, right? So I would show up in spaces and I wouldn't speak up. I would show up in spaces and I would try to stand in the background, or I would really try to just assimilate, for lack of a better word, assimilate into whatever the culture was. And that created pain because, number one, I had a story that other people could relate to, whether it was women, single parents, whether it was youth who might be struggling through the same sort of issues of dynamic purpose, but showing up in spaces where the people weren't really aware of that dynamic purpose and they weren't ready for it in such a abundant way. And the young people were really struggling with that. And so as I started to see it, and it was actually my own children, that I noticed in them elements of self-defeat, elements of really self-limiting beliefs, where I saw in my children, oh my goodness, you can do all of these things, but you're holding yourself back. And in my conversation, in my inner monologue, I said, Tonya, this was your example for them. This is what you're presenting. Now, while you're doing great things, your purpose you're denying. And that was the shift. That was the shift out of living within the place where I was putting pain on myself, where I was putting this mindset of what I cannot do. And I really shifted into, oh no, we're going to teach these young people something different.
Yes, we are.
Right. We're going to step in with them and just really mold them. And what has to happen is I can go and talk to young people and women all day, but I had to do it within myself because my actions spoke a whole lot louder than my words.
Yep. It's amazing how your children are always watching you, even when you think that they're not.
Right.
And there's so many things that you're like, God, I hope I don't set the bad example. I'm going to pretend to be strong. I do air quotes strong. I'm going to pretend to like this doesn't bother me. But the whole time your kids know that this is bothering you and that, you are hurt or you are struggling with some type of pain. That was one of the things for myself in my journey that I had to learn, was that I thought I was doing a good job of covering up what I was going through. And I was doing a good job at being the strong mom, putting on a mama face, right, so that they won't see mommy's struggles and pain and what it means to go through that. But the whole time they already knew. And, it was my son that pointed out to me like, what's wrong with you? Why are you always sad? And I'm like, what? Mommy's not sad. Mommy's happy. And it's like, no, you have to put the work in. You have to lead by example. You have to show them to show up as their authentic selves. And we do that by demonstration. And so the fact that you were able to realize, like, I'm holding myself back with my own mindset by not being who I was truly meant to be, because you have to be who you are. You have to show up the way you are. And look how many people you are inspiring. I see that sometimes we find our stories to be I can only speak for myself, but for myself, my story to be embarrassing when before I even started sharing it with everybody. And so for that, I wouldn't show up as myself, and I would pretend to be the strong, whatever definition of that is, by not showing any hurt, pain, or anything, like my life was perfect, because I was so embarrassed. And the whole time, those elements were breaking me apart and tearing me down.
Let me
And
tell
so
you, one of the things that I talk about is it is so much work to try to put on a face of perfection, that instead, let's pour that work into really growing ourselves, really becoming the people that we want to be, and living in authenticity.
mhm,
Because the work of trying to be perfect, oh my goodness, that's a lot of work.
it's exhausting. Exhausting. I lost so much weight, like because I was carrying so much on my shoulders, and I was
Oh,
trying to just keep it up, and I was tired, and I was also really hurt inside. So I'm like dealing with the real emotion and the pain, but then walking out every day like acting like everything was fine, and then breaking down at night, and then you keep doing it every single day. Lord, like if I don't put this work in and get better.
that part. Absolutely, 100%. And that's a large part of what I do. I believe that there are values and there are limitations. I believe that we have boundaries. Like if you stand, the quote, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. I 100% believe that.
Mhm,
However, you define what those boundaries are.
mhm.
And so often we grow up with the definition of society, of our community, of our family, and what their boundaries are, that we don't realize we have to create them for ourselves.
Yes.
And then the work is understanding that if something is constantly uncomfortable, if we're saying we believe this, but nothing that we do in life aligns with that,
Mhm,
then either our values have to change or our actions have to change. And
mhm.
that's okay. But reevaluating that sometimes lets us know either this value is something that is not a belief that I have, or this action is something that is a challenge for me that I need to grow through. And both of those things need attention and need deliberate action so that you can really get to the heart of who you authentically are. That's what authenticity is,
Mhm.
of understanding that piece about you and not just going through life. I can do anything and say anything. That's not authentic.
Mm.
Sometimes that's just not having a filter.
Listen, say it again.
For the
I
people in
know
the
when to
back.
preach.
Yeah, so having that idea of authenticity is honoring the people you care about. That's authentic. It is not being rude and being disrespectful to everyone and demanding your way or the highway. It
Right.
is really taking inventory on what is important in my life, the people, the actions, the feelings that I have, and then showing up in a way that honors that.
Yes.
That's what I see and define authenticity of. Authenticity is because it is more than just a word of
Yes.
this is me, this is how I show up.
This is how it's going to be. It is what it is. Absolutely. And just being willing to do the work, put the work in. I think that is so important too. This journey is crazy when we talk about rediscovery journey, when we talk about putting ourselves first and really getting to the heart of it. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a
It's a
lot. It's a lot. And we have to be willing to show up for ourselves and put that work in and continue to move forward. What would you say to a mom that she wants to show up for herself? She really does. She's embarrassed by everything that's happening. She's trying to figure out this balancing act. What advice would you give to her to let her know that it's going to be okay?
Oh, that's good. So really, I believe that when it comes down to it, don't put all the pressure on yourself. And it's easier said than done, but what is the pressure you're putting on yourself? And keep asking the question, why? Why am I doing this? Why is this important? Because as you're breaking down those questions for yourself, you're going to start to analyze, I don't know why, or this isn't as important as I thought it was. But I will also say on the other end, it will help you decipher, I'm doing this because this is why. This is what's important. These are my priorities. The next step is looking at this idea of, if what I do right now, if I stick with this pace and with everything I'm doing, what will be my long-term effect? Meaning, if I run myself into the ground 100% for 10 years, am I going to be around to really give what I'm hoping to achieve from this? Or am I setting short-term boundaries? Because sometimes we do have to run ourselves for a short period to reach a goal, but that should not be a long-term expectations. You might have 3 weeks of just getting it in because there's an interim goal within those 3 weeks. But what things can I put in place? And here's another one with those shoulds. What things can I put in place to take things off of my plate so that I can put the energy towards what's important? Can I do laundry service? Can I get a house cleaner? Can I get someone to cook the meals? Can I have someone watch the kids that I trust? Those things oftentimes for mothers are areas of shame. They're areas of high expectations of society. You should do this. You should be the one. It's those shoulds again. But why? If cleaning takes 5 hours of my time and I don't like it, right? I don't have the energy for it. Why can't I hire a cleaner? Why can't I shift and allocate funds so that I have 5 hours of time to spend with my children? Who told me I had to be the one to do that?
They did. They told you. That's the problem. They told you you should. Yeah, I am for it. Listen, I will hire. I have a I got a cleaner.
Yes.
I have to. I need her. I need her to come. I have a laundry service because I don't have the time. But you're right. It took me a minute to get here though, because of those same reasons that you brought up, because I should be the one cleaning this room 10 times because the baby keep throwing the toys on the floor. It should be me. You know, I should be tired, but still making a home cooked meal. I shouldn't be eating out every single day. Like, there's boundaries on all of that stuff. Yes. But I should be the one doing this because they said I should be. And if I don't do it, then I'm a bad mom.
Right.
I'm not doing my job as a mother for my kids. How dare I give them McDonald's tonight? How dare I have another woman come clean my house? I'm so bad.
Yes. And what is different from, I think, a time for where that was the norm and the expectation is, we're not solely doing one thing anymore. And it doesn't matter if you're a homemaker. It doesn't matter if you are an outside the house working mom, inside the house working mom, married mom, single mom. Those things don't matter. We're doing multiple things. Those just aren't singular as to, I'm just waking up and this is all I'm doing. And sometimes that's a success.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we are juggling a lot more because of the society that we live in. My oldest daughter is a junior in college, and I am working with her now on these expectations. Like, you should not have a pile of laundry. Go to the laundry service and get it done. Well, you're just a college, you hear all these statements. Who cares? This is something that takes a chunk of your time. And you don't have that free time. And bottom line is, you don't like to do it.
Right.
Allocate and budget and plan, and that will help your long-term success. So these moms out here that are struggling with the shoulds, it's about releasing those shoulds, creating a space that helps support you. And sometimes it could be team. It could be a mom that helps. It could be another dad that helps. It could be your husband or your spouse. It could be grandparents, extended family, and friends. But that's why they talk about tribe and team and community. And we often say we don't have them, but that's why you create them. Go find a church that you like. Go find a play center that you can find connection. Get your children involved in sports. Go to the gym and work out. Those are spaces where you can find community, that you can build people that have like likenesses to you, experiences and things that you enjoy, and watch your children or watch your interactions. Do I like this person? Do
Mhm.
my children get along with this person? Okay, then maybe we can work some
Hand in
community
hand.
support. Exactly. That takes us long term.
It
I will
does.
say one other thing. I believe that positivity, however it happens, should be poured into us, whether it's
Mhm.
affirmations, whether it's reading, even if it's
Yeah.
an audiobook, whether it's listening to positive music. When we're feeling down and we're feeling defeated, an abundance of pouring in all that joy and happy. And it may be annoying, it may be frustrating, it may be a look of this is not real. But if you pour that in, and I mean consistently
Yep.
until your mind changes, that's what it's about. Your mind shifts when whatever you pour into it, that's what your mind shifts to. And so some people call it faith, some people call it, your mindset, whatever you think, pour it in
Mhm.
so that your mind can then get to that and lead you into a better place.
Listen, I am all for some positivity. Feed your brain positivity. I'm always talking positive affirmation, positive thoughts. I'm always pouring into others, pouring into myself because it's
Right.
important. And that was the number one thing that shifted. So when people are like, okay, Kita, tell me your story. What was one thing that changed for you? I'm like, my mindset. My mindset
Mhm.
changed for me because I had to start pouring positive thoughts into myself each and every day, even when I did not believe them. Let me just tell you, I sounded crazy, but I just kept saying, I think this is dumb right now, but I'm just going to keep saying it until I start believing it, and it it starts to happen. But if
Yes.
you start feeding yourself positivity and believing it, and then feeling good about yourself, and then you start moving differently, then all these great things start coming to you, and you're like, wow, what a change. And then understanding people, because
Right.
I believe in, as you're talking about positivity and you're building that positive environment, people are a big part of that positive environment. And when you start to understand your worth, your
Mhm.
value, where you're going, where you're really headed, and what you need for yourself to get you to your goal, people start falling off.
Right.
You start
Right.
noticing that people start falling off. I talk about cleaning out your closet. It's important to clean your closet. And I'm not talking about clothes, I'm talking about
Right.
people. There's people that will take energy from you each and every day and will not pour a cent into you. You have to be able to identify those folks. And as hard as it can be, say, hey, you're no longer part of my season. I'm sorry.
That part. That part. And
Sorry.
putting those boundaries on can take a lot of work because it could be
Mhm.
hard because those could be people that are really, really close to
Yes.
you. But those boundaries can be just limiting your time with them,
Mhm.
limiting your exposure to them. It could be being busy with other things that bring you peace so that maybe I have 5 minutes to spend with you, but I
Mhm.
don't have the 5 hours to listen to you drag on. And even if those 5 minutes take me down, I might not have that either.
Right.
Or
Right.
maybe I decide not to go to this event because I know you'll be there and just drag me down with you.
Mhm.
That's hard sometimes to do. It's hard. We wonder why our kids struggle with peers, right? Trying to find good peer groups because it's hard once you've made a friend to say, you're not my friend anymore.
Yeah, it is. It is very hard. There are different friend groups. I don't remember saying friend groups, first of all, when I was growing up. So when my kids say friend groups, I'm like, what is a friend group? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm an old lady. What's a friend group? I'm like, your clique? Because oh yeah, my clique. But yeah, it is important to talk to them about friend groups and people and energy. I tried to pour that into them now. I didn't have these conversations growing up. It was just
Mhm.
different. We didn't really talk a lot about any of this stuff growing up. It was
Right,
kind of like,
right.
do as I say, don't ask any questions type of thing. And I just think it's important to just really, with our youth, to pour into them positive thoughts, positive mindsets, self-confidence, who your friends are, and don't share everything with it. Now that one's hard. Don't share everything with everybody because they think everyone's their friend, especially my youngest. She thinks they're, and I'm like, but they may not be in 2 years, but they don't know that.
Right, right.
Like, don't say that part. You never
Oh,
know how I might come back. Girls are mean. But I do think it's important to just pour all of that into it. I want to talk about the name of your company, which is Bridge Every Gap. What's the meaning behind that?
Oh, I love that you asked that. So the just outward meaning is there are a lot of holes that disconnect us as community, as people. And so I really wanted to look at how do we bring that all together?
Mhm.
And bridges are a very intentional process of how you build them and how they work. And so that was kind of the overall idea of how are we bridging these areas, our gap between across generations, our gap across cultures, our gap across leadership and organizations and teams. That was the design. Now, I was very intentional, however. It is no secret that my passion are my children. The
Mhm.
reason why I do life is because my children, and their names are Brianna, Evan, and Grace. And so the BEG of Bridge Every Gap represents their initials
I love that.
because I knew whatever I did, if I really wanted it to be all and I was going to be passionate and really drive it forward, I would be incorporating my passion, my moving force, my motivation, which is my children, Brianna, Evan, and Grace.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love how your kids have shaped who you are. And I say that because, like I said in our pre-interview, you really changed my thought process because I do teach, self-love, self-care, and don't lose yourself in motherhood. Your journey goes beyond motherhood, but you kind of like, hey, but I'm already good at being a mom.
Right.
So I made it work for me. I made it work for me. I know I got you. I pour into my kids, but I'm good at this. And
Yes.
now you're Mama T. So you're not only a mom to your kids, you're a mom to everyone out there. You utilized your strengths and you made it your own. And I was just that thought is still there. I'm like, wow, that is beautiful because I never thought about it that way of utilizing it in a way, not that it's negative. I love being a mom. It's draining, but I love being a mother. I love I love my kids. They're everything that I do. And I pour them into my business as well by just showing them like, hey, this is what mommy's doing. This is what's important. Get out there, spread positivity, spread love. But the fact that you're like, no, I'm good at this.
Yes.
I'm good at this. This is what
Yes.
I'm going to do.
Yes. Someone asked me, they were like, what do you like to do? And they were like, don't lose yourself in being a mom. And so this was our background of you and I having that conversation.
Mhm.
Being told don't lose yourself in being a mom. So for years and years, I was trying to find, well, what do I like to do outside of being a mom? But then I looked at it, I've been a mama before I had kids. Like my
Yeah.
motivation is that care and concern
Mhm.
for people, especially youth. I was youth oriented when I was in middle school. And
Yeah.
I was
That
working,
part.
right, that was my passion. And so when I say mom, when I started off saying I'm the universal mama bear, and somebody was like, "You're Mama T," I was like, "Okay, I'll go with it."
Mama
But
T.
Mama T. But the reason why I went with that is because I don't care who you are. Come on, baby, I'm gonna adopt you. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna show you love. And even in my work with adults, I talk about reparenting. So it's still that mama spirit because it's reparenting those things that we put it within ourselves that we believe that we have to do, that we were taught. Maybe they're hurt, there's pain that's gone along the way. And so I do that mama approach
Mhm.
of reparenting even that aspect within yourself, because that is my passion.
Mhm.
And so now when people say, "Oh, what do you like to do? What makes you happy?" I love the idea of caring, of bringing people together, of pouring into people. That's my happy place. I really don't care what I'm doing if
Mhm.
I could do it around that. And gathering groups together, loving and spreading love and positivity and joy and empowering people. My shirt that I have on says, "Drink water, fight racism, and empower women." That
Yes.
pretty much puts it in a nutshell,
There you
right?
go.
Like, let's do that. And I don't have to feel the shame again of you're losing yourself in motherhood. No, motherhood like amplified my superpower.
There you go. I think it's beautiful because I did lose myself in motherhood. I'm not gonna lie though, I did. I didn't know, and that's saying it from the other side of it. That's
Right.
saying like not doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing, like taking a shower every day. Brushing your teeth. Girl, bye. If you don't go up there and brush your teeth, I get that you're a mom. So I lost myself in the sense of just really not taking care of myself the way that I should be, even just mentally, all the goals and dreams and everything that I had set for myself, I stopped doing because I was a mom. So I just stopped doing everything. I just didn't even try to pour into anybody at that point. So that's the side of it. Go ahead. Yeah.
That is a big side of it. And ironically enough, the people that I attract are not always the people, friend-wise, yes, the people who kind of are very similar to me. But the people that I usually work with are not having that same mindset. So this is an ironic thing. I often attract people that are struggling and like, they're thinking, hey, I want to do what you do. I want to love like you love. I want to be a parent like you. That's what my gift and my purpose is. So I work with them on understanding you don't have to. You were put into your child's life because of what you bring to the table.
Yep.
You don't have to love this aspect and what you see everybody else do. And that's, again, a very hard thing. I don't love parenting. There are so many mothers out there that don't love being a parent in the traditional and the should sense.
Yep.
And it's because, right. And it's because they are not empowered in the idea of what you bring to the table, what you have in your way. That's how your child is going to benefit, not by you doing what everybody else does and what they tell you to do. That's going to bring you misery. That's going to bring you bitterness. That's going to cause you to regret kind of your role. When step into that part, step into your superpower. You may not be the warm and fuzzy, but maybe your child doesn't need the warm and fuzzy. Maybe they can get that somewhere else, right? And you can strategically set that up where they're getting the warm and fuzzy, but your child actually needs the boundaries. Your child actually needs kind of a different approach than the traditional one size fits all parenting that takes place.
And that's important for anybody to understand. And it's talking about discovering you, rediscovering you. Like, you have to do it your way. We are in a new time now. Like, it's about you, boo. Whatever way works for you, yourself, and your family, that's what works for you guys. And there is no mom is the same. Like, no mom is the same. We all do things that are beneficial for our family and that works for our kids. My kids are very open. My children will talk to me about everything because I raised them to be that way. And I'm very open too. I'll be like, what happened? Like, okay, who did what? My son will come home and tell me like, Mom, I'll be like, oh Lord, like in my mind, I'm like, can't believe he's telling me this. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm very thankful that he's telling me this because I have set it up that way. But other people be like, your child talks to you about what? Yeah, he does. And I'd rather him come to me, his mom, than to go to anybody else, because that's what I want. I want that open communication. But it's about building your household or raising your kids the way it works for you. And you're right. We are allowed to, supplement, be strategic, be intentional about our actions. I'm not good at this, but this person is. So maybe I can strategically plan for my child to get this from that, from that person, but I'm able to give them this. That's okay. That is okay. And I think it's important for moms and women to know, like, this is a new day and age. We already out here killing it. I'm just telling you right now. So come on, we got to do it our way.
Exactly. And you even think about it, like, our kids are not 100% like us either. They are different dynamics of everything. So a lot of times, if you're a father and you love sports and your son, and I'm talking very specifically, your son likes something else, maybe it's video games, maybe it's music, you can figure out how to bridge that gap by putting them in classes or letting them see role models that love that, and then you showing support. You don't have to 100% be able to identify with what they're doing. I often say, unless you are abusing, neglecting, or abandoning your child, as long as those three things are not in the picture, it's not wrong, right? It's maybe different, and different does not equate to wrong. And that's the piece you have to take. And it's a trial and error, just like doctors are practicing medicine. We are practitioners as parents.
Yes, we are.
We are trying to figure out what works, especially with those older ones, right?
Yes. I'm over it.
Let's do this, right? Let's see what works. And again with those, and I feel like I'm beating a dead horse being redundant with this, but my older two are in college. I have three. The older two are in college. And when I sent my oldest one to college, people would tell me, oh, y'all aren't going to be as close anymore. She's not going to talk to you. Y'all aren't going to do this. Want, want, want. The first week, we were having so much pain and pressure because we were trying to do what everybody told us we're not supposed to do.
Mm.
A week after, we were like, forget this. We're going to do our own thing. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this. She was telling her friends, hold on, I gotta call my bestie to show them what I'm gonna wear to the party. And she's like calling me.
Love it.
Right.
And then they're like,
But
your mom?
right. And she's like, yes, mom's bestie.
Yeah.
But it grew into this elevated, like we are now friends. And I love that because growing up, I would always tell them, I'm not your friend, I'm better. I'm your mom. But I feel like when they were very, very young, I discounted that effect of what friendship could be, how that could be a part of it. And now we're growing the part of our friendship journey. And so that's really awesome. And then my son, who's my middle child, he's a freshman this year. And I got all nervous. Oh my goodness, he's not going to want to talk to me.
Yeah.
And we get around him and he's just like, hey, I love you and I missed you. What do you want? What can I get you? Right. But we got to stop listening to everybody else in what they're like, as it's law, as this is this way or nothing else. And we have to really take inventory on what am I experiencing? I tell my kids, take the good and leave the bad. If this does not serve you, if this does not relate to you, then you don't have to hold on to it because it doesn't serve you. And so same with the kids, same with our relationship. I'll listen to advice that I get and I'll see whether or not this applies to us. And sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes I don't get it right and I make mistakes, but I am open enough with them to say, oh, mama messed up on that one. I did that wrong. So sorry, let's try it again.
Yep.
That has been good for us. That has been amazing for our journey together of just who we are and how close we are. And I'm like, God, I'll take the credit, but you did it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Journeys are so important. And I think it's important to always teach your kids that they're on a journey too. And I just smile when you said, friendship journey, like we're on our friendship journey now. Yes. I mean, we're all evolving. We have our own personal journeys. Our kids have our own journeys. We have our journeys with other people around, but we all hit a certain level of that journey and it continues to evolve. It's funny because I thought of my son because he'll say, well, my journey, it's funny when I hear them say it because I know they got it from me, but I'm interested to see, to say like, hey, what journey are you on right now? Where are you at? And I'll joke and be like, are y'all going to be on my next podcast? And then, my son's like, yeah, I want to talk about, my school journey. And I'm like, yo, school journey? Like, what are you talking about? But there was a period where we applied to, he's in high school now. We applied to a lot of different private schools. And he didn't get into a lot of schools. And it was at one point he was in no schools. And then the last minute he got into 2 schools. So it was just like a journey, a process. But I was going through, I was like, oh my God, what school is he going to go to? Where are we going to do? How's he feeling? But he's able to talk about his journey. And, he's like, Mom, I want to talk to people about, how, I wanted to give up, but I didn't give up. And I kept praying about it. And I was like, oh my God, like, we talk about journeys and processes that we want to pour, but he actually is able to be like, this is my journey, Mom. And now I'm here because I didn't give up. But at one point in my journey, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud.
I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we all go through our own journeys. It's important that they understand that they go through journeys too, and that it's not always going to be pretty. Right. And sometimes it's going to be crappy. And that's life. I try talking about, hey, okay, it didn't work out the way we wanted to, but what's the lesson from that? Like, we got to do some reflection on that one. You come back to me when you've done some reflection, because when I let you go out there and I'm scared, we'll come back when my baby go to college, I'm gonna have to call, be like, walk me through this because I'm scared.
Let's do it.
But when I let them go, I'm like, I'm gonna have to let you go, and you're gonna have to be out there making these decisions. So I want you to learn how to do reflection and realize that not everything's gonna be great.
But even with that, why?
Why?
Right?
What?
Why does he have to go out on his own? Right. So if we look at cultures,
Oh, I'm looking at when I say that, I meant like just going to college. So I ain't even just going out the house.
Okay.
Going out the house. But I get what you're saying, that support part. No, mama, we're not going nowhere. Support is here. Yeah, the support is here.
Yes, because our American system teaches us a culture of just get out. And when you get out, you have to stay, you have to go away. But if you look at really the breakdown of cultures, and especially like background of like indigenous cultures, you look at looking across the world, and those cultures of color are typically community based. And so when we look at pushing them out, we're actually working against what the root of who we are is designed to support, because we're so community based in our culture of how we support our children. America, and I know we're American, but America overall culture kind of, it's more of a westernized culture, and it is independent based. And so it's go out, go do it on your own, go figure it out. But a lot of times in colors of community in America, we are still community based, but we live within a westernized individual culture. And so there's that conflict of, do I go and how can I succeed? Or do I build community so I succeed based off of that support, based off of that community? And so what I shifted with my children is, now when you go off to college, you get to take the initiative in what you need from me, but I'm here for whatever you need.
Absolutely.
And so instead of me saying, hey, I'm gonna do this for you, or hey, we're gonna do this, or me taking the lead, you now get to shift in you taking the lead. And so it doesn't negate that community culture and saying you have to be on your own, but it now just shifts that responsibility. So you're still growing your young man or your young lady or your person into the confidence in who they are, the ability to sustain themselves, but also that support of what is designed by that community-based culture.
Absolutely. I want them to know, and I think they do know, that I am one call, skip, listen. I'm always gonna be there. Where y'all at? And they scare me because they say like, well, my oldest is like, I'm going to college in California. And I'm like, why? That's so far away from me. Then my middle, she's like, well, if he goes to California, I'm going to California. I'm like, tell my husband, if they go to California, we going to California. Why would be on the East Coast and they on the West Coast? It don't make no sense to me. My brain's not.
Doesn't. I'm with you. Like we're all going.
We all going. I mean, I ain't gonna be like in y'all's house every day, but I will be down the street.
Right. I'm available.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think community is important. And it's what's crazy about what you just said, and like community and being out on your own. When you get a certain age, you have to be out on your own. You have to figure it out. I do feel like that was my story though. Like, I do feel like, and I think part of wanting to be available and there for my kids, knowing that they can call me, is because I don't think I felt I had that when I went to school. Does that make sense?
It does make sense
to you. Okay, I'm trying to get it out. I'm trying to get it out. I don't think I had that. And so when I seriously remember like getting in the car, being dropped off at school, and then being like, I'll see you at Thanksgiving. Like, seriously. And I remember being like, what the hell am I supposed to do? How am I going to figure this out? And I did. I figured it out. I made it work. But I really felt like I had to figure all of this out on my own, being 10 hours away. Yeah.
Yeah. And that creates sometimes some conflict, because that is, I think, outside of middle school, I think the next step of your biggest who am I moment is that 18 to 23, 24 period when you're in college, which is the joy of college, right? Because it gives you a safe environment to figure that out. but it's also hard. Like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? And not even what am I supposed to do in the daily routine of, okay, I wash my clothes, I get up, I get dressed, I go to class. But as I'm developing as a person, as I'm figuring out relationships, both friendships and maybe intimate relationships, and I'm figuring out what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to react? Because high school is a different story when you're looking at that realm.
Yeah.
When you go away for college, you're looking at something totally different than high school for those relationships and
Mhm.
cultivating them. And time in college, you're in a bubble. Time is like obsolete. You could spend every waking moment with people and really think this is it for life.
Yeah.
But it's only because you're in the bubble of college. So it's, how do I navigate that? What are the support systems in there? And there's some schools that are helpful with that. And there's some that are just like, we're here just for academics. You figure it out.
Yeah. Yep. I will say my school, I did eventually find that community because I had my son in college.
Hmm.
And I remember I didn't want to go home. I'm like, I'm not going home. I'm going to figure it out. But my teachers allowed me to bring my baby to class. And I
Oh,
remember like my math teacher, I would never forget. She'd be like, I want to hold, like, she would literally be teaching the lecture with my baby. And I'm like sitting down taking notes.
I love it.
So I did find the community
Yes.
in my HBCU, in my community, I found it, but it was hard.
You saying my word, HBCUs are that's my jam.
Yes, yes, yes. So
Absolutely.
I did find that community, but it's very difficult,
Yeah.
very difficult. I love what you do.
Okay, thank
I
you.
love everything that you do. I love that you're bringing everybody together and you're not just focused, like I said, just on moms. You're focused on youth and moms, and you're just doing it. And I know you got something coming up real soon.
I do.
Talk about this retreat, Mama T.
Excellent, excellent. So many years ago, I started something in 2015, and it was called She. And when we were looking at she, like the word she, we really delved into meeting the need of a community that was often kind of lost. We were focusing on women for a certain age group and just kind of trying to find them and bring them back to roots of spiritualness, wellness, holistic, just community. And we had a gap because that was a great experience. People walked away, they loved it, but we were brought for a specific purpose of under a main conference. And then 5 years later in 2020, I said, this is coming back because this is needed. And so started what we designed as She, which is a cross-generational wellness retreat for women and girls. And since 2023, we have done one every year. Sorry, since 2020, because that would be this year. Since 2020, we have done one every year. And we go to a resort house, which has multiple rooms. This year is at a beachside resort, and everything is on site. And we pour in to women and girls of all ages. We have a special emphasis on HBCU collegiate age students, in which we bring them where they pay nothing and they can enjoy this experience. We've had families of multiple generations of grandchildren, children, and grandparents. We've had sisters, we've had mother-daughter crews, we've had friends come together, and we've had women from ages, we had an infant last year, but I'll go up. We had a 4-year-old all the way up to a 72-year-old. And we came and it was amazing. The women were poured into. We had sessions. We had this, we created a community where they were really able to feel that nurturing and that community of what are the opinions of not just me and my generation, but what am I looking at across generations? And how can I look at rejuvenation? So we have an on-site caterer, we have an on-site massage therapist, there's a sauna, it's beachside, there's vendors, there is an amazing array of all to do. And we take these women on this experience for the weekend of just pouring into them. We pour in them wellness. We pour into them the idea of luxury, of self-care, and really work for how do we step away from this, knowing that we have created something that will span not just with this community, but across generation to generation, leaving a legacy of just wholeness and wellness. And how do we move forward? So that's coming up this March 14th through 17th in 2024. And registration is open now, and there are only 30 rooms. And so when those 30 rooms are up,
hurry up.
But
slots.
Get your slots, bring your daughters, bring your sisters, bring your best friends, your mama. We have an amazing time, and truly authenticity is celebrated at this event. There have been so many different people, and I mean different. And when they come to Chi, they walk away and say, I felt as though I belonged. And there were people that were like me, and there were people that were nothing like me, but I felt honored. We really delve into the idea of sisterhood in a way that is not society or outside beliefs or they, the comments of they or the should.
Them.
But we do it in a way that is creating our own idea and really amplifying it. And we stay in touch. We stay in touch throughout the year. We make sure that from these experiences, people have built connections and networks that have led to job opportunities. They have led to mentorship. They have led to business ventures, and they have led to just women walking away feeling whole. So that's what it's all about. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk about it. I'd love anybody who wants to come, give me a call, register, sign up, and let me know, and we'll get you there.
Yes, please. Y'all better get them 30 rooms, 30 slots, get your room. Listen, I think, like I said, what you're doing is beautiful. And the fact that you have really, your name says bridge, you're doing that. You're bridging the gap. You're thinking of it as a whole. You're really at the top looking and saying, okay, what can I do to benefit everybody? And not only are you just pouring into them, even for the retreat, you're giving them valuable tools that they need and that they can continue to implement as they continue their journey. Yeah. And that's what it's all about. It's about teaching and pouring into and showing like, hey, this is my story. This is where I've come from. And this is what I'm going to give to you to take and continue to grow yourself.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. And thank you for this opportunity. I enjoyed talking to you today and the past times that we've had to talk. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. I'm just a little click away, girl. Anytime you want to talk, I'm there. I am there. Can you let our audience know where they can find you on social media?
Absolutely. You could find me on all platforms at Bridge Every Gap. And I'm on everything: Instagram, Twitter. I think at Twitter, I'm Bridge Every Gap 3.
Okay.
But I'm there. And find me, and bridgeeverygap.com is the website, and all the social media links are on that page as well.
Yay. So everything that we spoke about today will be linked into our show notes, especially registration for the retreat. So yeah, I want to thank you so much for being a part of my journey and being a part of the Beauty in You. I am just blessed as always to meet someone new and just really have this strong connection. And I know we will be forever connected. I'm always here for you, whatever you need.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. I'm going to take you up on it.
Yeah, listen, I'm seriously, you can ask. I show up. So
awesome. Community. We're just expanding our community.
Just let me know. Just let me know. But all right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Until next time.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Beauty in You podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Visit us at thechiquitamack.com or join us on Instagram at thechiquitamack for your daily motivation and inspiration. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Until next time.